Whatever happened to the Ruff Ryders, DMX's 2000's hip-hop group?
Stop, drop, shut 'em down, open up shop.
Ruff Ryders had a stacked roster. Obviously DMX, but they also brought on the Locks early on in their career, Drag On, and helped make Eve popular. Ruff Ryders actually didn't start out as a hip-hop group. They were an entertainment industry owned by two brothers. This was Joaquin and Darren Dean. They're both from New York, and Joaquin actually met Puff and asked how to get into the industry. I'm gonna avoid that part of the story, but he would get him in touch with Chad Elliott, who was roommates with Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti worked with Def Jam and then later Murder Inc., but Irv would introduce Chad Elliott to DMX. And Ruff Ryders started managing DMX and the Locks. They represented DMX for his very first demo, Born Loser, and they managed the Locks even when they were coming out with Money, Power, and Respect. Def Jam and Ruff Ryders were working hand in hand with these artists at the time. Producer Swiss Beats would sign on to work with Ruff Ryders. He was really young at the time, but he would produce some of the best tracks in hip-hop. Swiss Beats would work on multiple albums with multiple artists from Ruff Ryders and Def Jam. After the success of DMX's demo, the team would release It's Dark and Hell is Hot, which this is the album that featured Ruff Ryders' anthem. I thought that the anthem had kicked off Ruff Ryders Volume 1, but it was actually the year before. It's Dark and Hell is Hot was actually the first record to be released from Ruff Ryders as a label. DMX had a busy year that year because he released Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood just months later. With DMX's and the Locks' success, Ruff Ryders was building a roster of talent, and they showcased those artists on Ride or Die Volume 1. This album was stacked with talent. They had Drag On, Juvenile, Jay-Z, obviously Eve and the Locks, Beanie Siegel. Remember, they're still working with a lot of Def Jam artists as well. DMX would release a ton of other successful albums with Ruff Ryders, and then they released another compilation album, Ride or Die Volume 2. This one even had Snoop and Scarface, Redman and Method Man, and some of the Locks' best tracks I think are on this Volume 2. Also, this skit right here, if anybody remembers that one. Funny enough, I actually checked this album out from the library in Salisbury, Maryland. I was only 14, and this was a very formative album for me. So while Ruff Ryders may not have started as a hip-hop group, it essentially became one through these collaborations.